So close now. And close the line now. Analyze. So okay. So let's go to 25. 1.
So humanist, what I learned about humanistic Buddhism is that
What's been humanistic?
It just said that, like, you know, we apply Buddhism to our everyday life, not just, you know, we go to the temple every Sunday or enjoy the be religious only like when you want to be, but like, you know, go through now our day, think about Buddhism and applying that to our everyday life.
Okay. One more example. What is the practice Buddhism in daily life?
I guess it's like, I know Buddha teaches a lot about compassion. So like when you go throughout your life or throughout your day, it's like be compassionate to others, your friends, your family, classmates, professors.
Okay. You are number 1. This is want to say something about humanistic.
I haven't got to that one yet.
Huh?
I haven't got to that one yet. I'm still, yeah, so.
Okay, let's see this one. You remember?
16.
Okay, so for the whole idea of humanistic is that you apply Buddhism in daily life. And this idea starts from the Chinese monk, Tai Su. He's very famous in the early 20th century. So he uppercase Buddhism for human life, the word humanities. That's Tai Su, and later on, Yin Shun is his student, and Chen Yin, remember, I will show you a short clip about how to the non-member, the Chư Chi foundation that follow the line. So basically, it advocates the way that bring Buddhism in daily life, to have people in wheelchair to work, instead of sitting in meditation in mountain or in the forest and so forth. To engage in the faith, basically to engage in all kind of social work, all kind of social activities, and of course, like what you mentioned, that's the way we can practice mindfulness too. We can practice compassion too. But it's not easy, especially for monks and nuns. For young monks and nuns, it's not easy when they involve with society or communities too much. They don't have time to do meditation for themselves. That's why in the past, the Zen master said that they spend, let's say, a few years. Let's say 10 years or more than 10 years in the mountain, in forest first. And if they calm their mind enough, to have certain type of wisdom, they could go down, you could say that the market or the towns to teach people. Again, so please, we have only 1 week to go. We wait for a startup to come and make the so that's what the humanistic as far as being, it's similar to engage Buddhism too. Okay, Sandra, are you here? Sandra? Are you? No, okay. And engage Buddhism is upcake by Thích Nhất Hạnh. During Vietnam War, he organized people to go to village to have the civilians, the people who were in the middle of the crossfire between the South Vietnam government and the North Vietnam's, the communists. So both parties didn't like him, but still he encouraged young people, especially young monks, to step out of the monastery temple to have people, especially poor people, are the one in the crossfire of these two parties, two governments. That's what we call engaged Buddhism, and it spread to other countries too, like Thailand, Burma, and so forth. Some monks step out to do charity work and so forth for lay people. What happened to society much better instead of staying in the mountain. Let me show you one more time about the clip. Here. I think last time we watched this one, right? I want to show you one more. So this, skip.
War-stricken Rwanda or South Asia hit by tsunamis, Tzuji's medical volunteers have never been absent. Master Zhen Yan believes that children are the hope of society and education is the hope of children. In the year 2000, Tzuji's ideal of a complete educational system in Taiwan was realized when it completed the establishment of a kindergarten, a primary and secondary school, a university, and a graduate school. In addition, Tzuji volunteers built 7 primary and secondary schools for the Zulu children in Ladysmith, South Africa. In Indonesia, Tzuji volunteers provide 50 tons of rice to 8,000 students at the Muslim boarding school every month. In the Dominican Republic, Tzuji volunteers leveled a garbage mountain and turned it into a primary school for children from the poor families. Years, Tzuji has been working hard to reveal the brighter side of humankind by sharing stories of love and kindness with people around the world. To deliver messages of truth, kindness, and beauty, Tzuji's cultural mission has developed over the year to publish a Chinese monthly magazine, a Japanese monthly magazine, an English quarterly magazine, and Rhythms monthly magazine, as well as set up a radio station and 2 satellite.
Okay, so that's the whole. It looks about their foundations, but the idea is in the past, especially for the Theravada monks, most time they stay in the forest. Remember we studied about the scholar monks and forest guru monks. So people respect the guru monks, the one who stay in the forest or mountain to do meditation, than the city monk like scholar monk. But somehow this kind of engaged Buddhism is encouraged monks to step out of society instead of staying in the mountain and forest. And sometimes if you watch, we have watched video clips about the monks who go down to the street to beg for food, right? Especially in the Theravada traditions. You see, that's great for this. That's a way for the lay people to support the Sangha, but in my views, it would be better to step out to help other people, so that we can share each other and we have instead of receiving. For me, it's better to give than to receive. That's why I will show you one of my clip about what we do here in Houston. And actually, This is the name of my temple here. That's all you went there. This one here. That's what it is. Speakers for you.
All the friends you got, you gon' need somebody to stand by you. When the night has come and the land is dark and that moon is the only light we see.
Actually, we've been doing this for almost 2 years. But you know, unfortunately now the city, they say we cannot bring the food to the homeless people on the street anymore. We have to bring to the shelters. Otherwise, the people still get,
Where
yeah,
did you go? Is this on Main Street
yeah,
in Richmond, downtown?
yeah.
Okay, I think that's where my church is.
Already?
Where the Peggy's plant is,
Uh-huh.
the water fountain.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
they closed off that. Our church owns that little area.
Oh,
And like a
really?
lady donated it for them to stay there, but then the city like fenced it off because they didn't want them living in that area anymore. So they're developing.
Yeah.
new apartments or stuff.
Even last Sunday, I went down to this nearby that place just behind the Bristol
Oh, yeah,
Market.
yes, yeah.
Bristol Market is underneath of the freeway 59. You see
Yeah.
many of them live underneath of that freeway, right? We brought the food for them too. And now they say that if we go down again, they may fine us for $2,000.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's gonna be really bad. They wanna like relocate them.
Yeah, they want them to go to the shelters and seek like reestablishment, but
It got really bad because of the Super Bowl. So before the Super Bowl came, they were trying to collect them all together
Yeah,
and then move
push
them
the homeless people out, so it's
That
like
would
this
be-
large homeless.
Yeah, so
people.
when people would come here to visit Houston, they wouldn't see the homeless people.
Yeah.
It's so bad, yeah.
Yeah, so we feel sorry for them too. Yeah, and I don't know, because I really want to help them, but somehow they say that we need to have some license or something we will try to figure out so that we can help the homeless down there.
Well, because my church is right there, and on Sunday mornings, we have like somebody, like church time with them, because they're all chapel outside. So
They allow?
because it's through our church,
Oh,
they
I
come
see.
to church
I
and we
see.
feed them there.
Oh,
Because we don't get church because it's on our church.
we will contact you and I guess that university. We feel sorry for them, especially homeless people. In the winter, we brought sleeping bag for them because they slept on the street. Most of we brought the personal items, some kind of, it's just not much food, but just share with them. But if you don't live in that kind of environment, if you not in that kind of situation, you would not feel the suffering that they endure. Can you imagine that you go couple days without taking a shower? What do you think? The thing is not taking a shower. What do you think? Not talking about not having food, not having to drink, not having water to drink. And even this is no toilet around.
Your self-esteem goes down.
I'm sorry. And this probably more you drive around Houston, right? You may have more homeless people. They stand in many different corners of the street, right? You've seen them, right? That's why sometimes I keep the food on my van so that whenever I see them pass, I can pass there.
Well, some of them, we don't know for a fact that all of them are homeless. They could just be unemployed, taking the money.
That's okay. I don't give, most of the time I don't give money, I give
Yeah.
the food
The
as
best thing
well.
to do is give fruit or help, you know, guide them in the
There have been some of the same ones around my house, and we used to give them a few dollars, and then we'd see them in front of a gas station drinking a beer.
That's
or
why
something
I don't give money.
Yeah,
They're probably drug addicts.
I know, it's better to give food. That's all.
Yeah,
So anyway, that's the way we need to share that. Otherwise, you know, I used to tell I think if you attend the special celebration last time, right? Some of you, right? I mentioned that. Well, this is the way we repay the kindness of society, our nation. Plus, what happens if they're so poor, they may break in your house, or they may break in your store or business. Right? If we help them out, it's much better. We help them, that's when we help our community. We help ourselves too. You know, so not to be content or we don't care about other people. So that's why for me this is more we need action to share. So that's what we call the engaged Buddhism. And I hope that we find a way how to share with them. All right, so Chancellor Joseph, you want to talk something about the Buddhist mindfulness movement?
Sure. In modern times where we really like science and everything, so they're looking at the brain waves in the laboratory using EEGs and MRIs, and they're discovering that people who use mindfulness and meditation are experiencing positive effects on the brain, functionally and structurally. So it affects the body's response to stress, emotion, attention, and the immune responses.
Yes. Can you see this vessel? This is, I think, 2012. This is 2012. The SMS, can you see? That's 2012. It's been 5 years ago. Now it's different. They have not estimated, but lately they estimated about 30 million people practice meditations. Most of the time, I think they are Christian and Catholic. The Buddhist people are just a small percentage of this, and it's growing too. That has become a movement now. It's become a popular. This has become a mainstream. That's why some of you attend my lecture last time. And whenever we talk about mindfulness practice, it's related to Buddhism. That's all. Not what's not Hinduism yet? Yes, there's some meditation practice that come from Hinduism, but why? Why they don't mention that the mindfulness practice is originated from Buddhism? Why? You know why? You have to recognize that, otherwise you will be blurry. You will not be understand much. You know why? Here's the thing. In Hinduism, they don't mention about non-judgmental thought. There, right here. Because why? They classify people in different classes. Make sense? And they don't mention this is the most important thing here. Yeah. Just accept, that's what acceptance too. So that's the unique approaches of Buddhism. That's why whenever they talk about mindfulness practice, it's related to Buddhism, because it's based the modern mindfulness practice, the MBSR and so forth. They use this kind of Buddhist philosophy, non-judgmental, and we learn more, right? And emptiness and so forth, right? With this kind of philosophy and principle, it's easy for people to let go of things, not to attach things too much, not to discriminate things too much. That is what the mindfulness practice is for. So that's why it now become a movement. And then, so that's why, and actually for remember we studied here. I will show you. This is like our mind, right? Last time I showed you this is our mind, our daily mind. If you do meditation, like you filter out your mind here. This is the mind here. Okay. So again, this has become a movement. Okay, so let's go to Gray in Europe. 25.
Yeah, so I learned a lot about the history of like Buddhism in Europe and how it got started. Basically, around the 16th century, like in Renaissance times, Europe was primarily Christian. But there were a few Jesuit missionaries that went to Tibet and studied with monks for like a couple of years. And that's when they first kind of brought the ideas back to Europe. But it really kind of took off around the 19th and 20th century. When the Polytech Society was founded in the UK, and also the first European Buddhist Congress was held in Berlin in 1933, and then from then on, a lot of people from the East immigrated to Europe, and there are now about 3 million Buddhists in Europe that practice.
Yeah, great. Thank you. About what is the name? What's the name? What's the name?
Shakira.
Huh?
Shakira.
Oh, okay. You have anything?
I haven't done that one yet.
Okay, welcome back, Sarah. You just took a test?
It's only on your math test and you're running late.
Yes.
How was that?
It's math.
What's the number?
11.
Okay. Now, let's see. Let me go back talk about our schedule quick. So, Sarah,
Yes, sir.
Zealand, right? France, you still do your presentation? Okay. You do? Okay. So he dropped out and Regan Smith, oh no, she's not here. But here, but you write, this is the option, okay? The optional. For the one who does the presentation, okay? May 1st is the last day of the class, and we have the class on May 2nd. If you can do presentation on May 2nd, you can skip May 4. You want to do that? You ready to do presentation on that day, May 2nd?
All I said was if I'm done by then, I'll definitely go, for sure. I just, yeah.
1, 2, you, right? Can you?
Yeah, I do.
You okay?
Sure, I can
So
do
that's
that.
good. So we can skip May 4 so that you can have time to do to prepare for your final class, final exam on different classes. All right. So we do that. Okay. So May 2nd. Okay. May 2nd. All right. So let's probably 4 or 5. So if you do 20 minutes, so like this, only enough. So remember, okay? Good. So. So we email to Regan Smith and see. So we, yes?
What time will it be held?
Oh, the same times. The same time as last time. And instead of come to the class on May 4, 2 to 5. So if you do early, because this class is, this day is optional, I put it optional, because it's up, May 1st is the last day of the class.
Yeah.
So that's why I put it optional. All right? So, yes?
Sorry, the only reason I'm asking is because I have a final that day at 2.
You can do early. You can come and do early. Then we have to start at class 1. After 1 you can leave. You can do it?
Yeah.
Okay. So that we can set time for everyone. They can come and listen to your presentation on May 2nd, and after that you can be free to be prepared for the final exam from different classes. Alright, so that's okay, right? Good. Right. And remember that we have 28 total, but I give you the option that you just need to do only 25. Alright, 25 is just about 250, right? 250 points. That's just your math, okay? Alright, need to go back there. So please remember that, okay? So they depend on you. Alright, let's move back. Yes?
I said, yeah, thanks, no pressure.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we only had to do 25 of the reading
Yeah,
responses?
only 25.
So,
25 out 28. Makes sense? If you are 25 years now, today is 25, right? If you done, you finish 25, you're done. Yeah.
So 25 is 250 points.
Yeah, we do the other ones,
So you got the lowest one if you do all 20 years.
we don't. We get the extra,
So we only have
we get the extra points if we roll 28.
It's better to drop the lowest one, but let me see, yes?
So it's 25, 250 points.
If you have missing, it's points missing.
It's 25, 250 points.
That's what I'm asking, really.
25, yeah, 250, yeah.
Okay.
10 for each, yes.
Like, what I meant was if we have like a few missed attendances, can those extra ones that we did apply?
Yeah.
You can apply
Yeah, I
those to
can be
attendance?
responsible.
Okay, I'm gonna do those.
And we especially the one who missed the class a lot, so to try to make couple page.
Yeah.
So if you say if you miss 10, you're supposed to write 3,000 words. Okay. So you can take up, okay. And you can write one paper. You don't need to write each paper for 300, but you can write the whole paper. Make sense? Okay. I'm flexible with you. I try to work with you so that I can get good but still yes.
For not doing final presentation, we show up the second Tuesday. For everyone else.
That's the last day.
Okay.
The last
So not
day.
that Thursday, just the Tuesday.
That's all.
At 1
That's
o'clock.
not a count for attendance. That's all. All right. Okay. So all right. So let's move on then. Let me show you one short clip about this. And then so far we learned some basic principle of Buddhism already, and this we just learn more information about how people practice and so forth. And of course, next semester I'm teaching Buddhist meditation. That is more in depth about Buddhist tradition. I will show you this short little clips. But they have the Buddha birthday celebration in Europe with many groups of people and do the prayer. You can see the voice. And this is the main groups. So that's they do together. They did together the Buddha birthday celebration as a communities. And in May every year we have Buddha birthday celebration. And at my monastery we do the Buddhist celebration, Buddha birthday celebration on May 21st. And if you like, I will email to you guys on that day so you can come and just no break after. Because you done with this semester already. Alright, so now there is spread everywhere, especially the big impact is immigrants from Asia, like Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, South Asia countries, right, especially right after the Vietnam War. There's great impact. As for some, you want to ask me? For some. I know from some Vietnamese Buddhist people, especially the young people, sometimes you think that you get lost if you don't understand much about Vietnamese, right? When you go to the temple, like one, and sometimes you may not understand much, right? Most of the time, the Buddhist monks and nuns they teach in Vietnamese, in Chinese. If you don't know much about the language, you may not understand much about the tradition there. That's why I'm sure. Okay. All right. So, Steve. Yeah, Steve. You want to say something about Buddhist movement in Australia?
Yeah, Buddhism, it's relatively new in Australia, but it's one of the fastest growing religions in the country. From 1996 to 2001, the number of Buddhists grew by 79%, and it's the second most watched religion in Australia, following right behind Christianity. And as of 2011, it's estimated that 2.46% of the population, like around 530,000 people, identify themselves as Buddhists. And there's two main schools of Buddhism in Australia. One of them is the ethnic Buddhism, which is they call it Chung Tian Buddhism. And it's based off of the Tibetan Vajrayana Buddhism. And it's a tribute to the Dalai Lama that he made several visits to Australia, and he's sort of charismatic, and people like really like him. So many people tend to follow that version of Buddhism. And yeah.
Let me show this short clip about Buddhism in Australia. That's what they have.
Buddhism has a long history of more than 2,000
Buddha birthday too.
It was founded in India in the 6th century BC by Siddhartha Gautama, known as the Buddha or the Enlightened One. After that, it spread throughout the Asian region and has significantly influenced Asian culture. In recent years, many Western countries have paid considerable interest in Eastern cultures. Hundreds of thousands of people have adopted Buddhist principles worldwide. In Australia, where cultural diversity is acknowledged and respected,
We have seen this
there are about
before.
420,000 Buddhists
Buddhist
from different backgrounds, both from Asian and non-Asian ancestries.
What are they doing with the water?
In 1993,
Why are
the
they
Chung
doing
Tian
the
Temple
water
was
like
built
that?
as a symbol of Buddhism.
Okay. Who done this before? Why? Can you explain for her? Why?
I can't really explain why. I was just told to do it.
Huh?
I was just told to do it.
You know why? Put water on the baby Buddha. Why?
Oh, it's kind of like bathing.
Okay, why?
Yes.
Why? You know why?
In Suji, it's...
Did you do it before?
In Suji, they do it with the flowers.
The flower.
Yeah.
Okay. You know why? You sure? Blessing? Okay, here's the idea. So, I will explain during the celebration too, but the idea is, this is like every day we take a shower, cleanse our body. Most of the time we just take care of the body, not take care of the mind. So we know that the Buddha is pure. So the water represents the process of purification. You use the water to take a shower, to cleanse the body. You understand that? And you use some ways of meditation to purify the mind. So that eventually become pure like the Buddha. That's the idea. Make sense? You understand now?
So it's basically like symbolic of you washing.
Your own mind.
Okay.
That's all. So the Buddha doesn't need us to bathe him, but it's a symbolic way to remind us that we need to wash, purify our mind with the water of practice meditation. All right. For some of you just came late, let me with you one more time. You dropped out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you dropped out the race. Okay, so we can discuss that you have the presentation on May 2nd instead of May 4th, so that we don't need to come here on May 4th.
When's the research paper due?
If you can give me May 4th or May 2nd, that's okay. Yeah. So since May 1st is the last day of the semester, but after that, this is the week of final.
so it can be flexible with you guys. So we have 4 or 5 presenters here. So they agree that they will do on May 2nd. So if you can give me the paper, upload the paper on May 2nd, May 4th, that's okay. But the latest one is May 4th, no later than that, because I have to turn in the rate. Right? So please remember, on May 2nd, please come so that we can listen to your friends to do the presentation. Okay? And one thing I want to mention is that regardless of the traditions, whether people follow the Tibetan tradition, Vietnamese, Chinese, and so forth, during the Buddha birthday, everyone come. That's the common day of all traditions. Whether it's Theravada, Mahayana, Tantric, and so forth, we come together. If we do together in the community, for community. But I don't know, in Houston, they may not have done that yet. Okay, let's sing for Blake. You want to say something about Buddhist movement in North America?
Sure. So most of what I found was solely focused on the United States.
Why?
Because Buddhism is not that big in
Canada.
So Buddhism, according to my source, is a slowly growing part of the Canadian religion, but a large group of their immigrants are Buddhists, and that's why it's growing. But still, overall, as of 2001, less than 1% of the entire population describe themselves as Buddhists, so I wouldn't say that's big. And then again, in Mexico, the other part of North America, it's like somewhere around 100,000 followers are Buddhists, which is under 1% of the total Mexican population. But the Dalai Lama visited Mexico in 2011 and established a headquarters for Mexico for Tibetan Buddhism. So that's one of the big things that Mexico has going for itself for Buddhism.
The paper, please. Where's the paper?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
But Buddhism in North America started in the 19th century with a bunch of Chinese immigrants coming to California, and so that's where they really started kicking off. But again, at that point in time, it was mainly only the Asian American population that was practicing, because there were scholars of other nationalities and races that were interested in it and studied it, but they weren't actual Buddhists. And then later on, with World War II, we saw another huge influx of Asian Americans coming to the United States, including a lot of Japanese Americans. The Japanese Americans were some of the first to really build temples and establish a pretty dominant Buddhism. But then with World War II and the internment of the Japanese Americans, Buddhism saw kind of a pause and a decrease in numbers. But then afterwards, with more Asians immigrating to America, especially some from Vietnam, American Buddhism started growing extremely fast again. And then the rest of what I wrote was about Buddhism in Texas.
I have just shown you this clip. Can you recognize me?
Yeah.
I'm the translator. A few minutes for Dalai Lama, who gave the teaching to our Vietnamese people. This short clip. It's in Louisville, Kentucky, 2013. Before I came here. I met him several times in India, 1998, 1999, and after that I met him several times too. He's supposed to come to Louisville, Kentucky in this month, but he canceled because of his health. But actually his impact to Western society, to American religious spectrum is so large, so big that many people, even they don't understand much about Buddhism, they have what we call friendly attitude toward Buddhism. And on that day alone, one day, there's more than 14,000 people. That's why 14,000 people attend his lecture on that day, on that Sunday. And most of them, I know, most are Christian or Catholic, because Buddhist people take a small percentage of that city. Actually, I told you, right, I tried to work with the mayor of this city to invite him because it's because of his health, so we cancel that day. So again, it's growing, but still many people, they recognize us, and they read many people from my students here or India. Most of them, like you guys, like most of you guys, we learn more Buddhism because you recognize the peacefulness and non-violent approach. So let me show you one short clip of this.
There is a new trend involving a very old religion. More and more Americans, it seems, are turning to Buddhism.
One of the primary Buddhist principles is that money does not guarantee happiness and wealth can come and easily go. Tonight, our own anchor Dave Ward has a closer look at a local man who says Buddhism changed him and now he's hoping he can help to change Buddhism.
So Buddhism is going to change as it comes to the United States.
Blue-eyed, fair-skinned, born and raised in the USA, but to Buddhist Michael Schlosser could be the face of the future.
26 million Americans are influenced by Buddhism on a daily life.
He spends his days on the grounds of this Buddhist temple in Port Arthur, Texas. Slow and peaceful, a far cry from the life he once knew.
In 1970, when the Air Force. When I came out of the Air Force, I entered the seminary, Catholic seminary in Houston.
He spent the next 20 years devoted to the Catholic Church. But Schlosser says he still wasn't satisfied with his life. He felt like there was something missing. He left the church and he entered the corporate world. For 16 years, Schlosser worked in public relations, caught up in the rat race, and still unfulfilled.
It's not something that happened overnight, right? It's not something that just popped. But over a period of time, I started to look at the differences between Eastern philosophy and Western philosophy.
Finally, something clicked.
It's like you kind of know when you reach the right spot. I knew that day.
A year after his study of Buddhism began, he was ordained one of the first Anglo-American Buddhist monks.
All of our brothers are Vietnamese, but they have an American brother. Yeah. And I think most of them are very happy with that.
Now known as Reverend Bhante Kassapa, many believe he can help shape the new, changing face of Buddhism.
I just went to Houston. I went to about 7 different temples. And everybody is very, very happy to see American monks.
What makes Buddhism different from most religions is there is no creator or God. The founder of Buddhism was a young prince in Nepal. Upon realizing that wealth and luxury did not guarantee happiness, he set out to find inner peace. That was the year 563 BC, the same journey Reverend Kassapa believes many Americans are eager to embrace today.
You're young, and you have a chance to do a lot more than I ever had.
Now the student has turned teacher.
What is the biggest challenge you think I will have going forward?
Like Schlosser, 25-year-old Matthew Rome wants to become an American monk.
And he kind of brought a little wedge in between the ethnic Buddhist temple, because previously it was mainly Vietnamese.
Buddhism currently ranks as the 4th largest religion in the world. With Rome and Schlosser joining 350 million others, it is a number expected to grow.
There's a lot of comments about whether or not it'll be as strong or maybe watered down version.
Okay, anyway, so there's a short clip, and there's many clips about many local people like to know just like you guys too. And others, we have 1 more week to go, so so you understand some basic Buddhist principle, right? And you understand how we purify our mind, how the function of the mind is so important, and others. Right? So, and on May 2nd is try to come so that I can pass out the paper with some kind of feedback. Okay. All right. So let's move on there. Okay, so Jeff, you want to say something about Buddhist study in the West, like Paul Carpus and so forth? What's about him?
So Paul Carpus was a German-American author and philosopher. He was raised in an Orthodox Protestant home, but he kind of separated himself from that side, and he started studying Buddhism. And he worked with translating Buddhist interpretations of Daisetsu Kitaro Suzuki and Soyin Shaku. He also studied the relationship of science and religion, and he came up with the concept of religion science.
Let me stop this for a while. Let me ask, Jessica, you go to Buddhist temple every Sunday, right? Monday? Not Sunday?
No.
How long have you been going to that temple?
2 years.
2 years? So that's why you signed up for this class, to learn more. What's the difference? You learn more from this class, you learn more from going to that center?
A little bit of both, because my center mostly has Hispanic people, so we usually get translated most of the information.
So does the monk go over some basic principle like the Honorable Truths and Gopas and so forth with you guys?
He usually tries to blend it in with like stories, I guess.
Okay. Some myth, right?
Yes.
Some legend, some miracles and so forth, right?
Yes.
So he speaks Vietnamese or English?
Vietnamese and English.
And some of you translate that. You too?
Spanish.
You too?
No, I
Yeah.
don't.
Okay, that's good. I'm surprised. Yeah, actually, I travel around a lot, and the news is so special. There's many Hispanic people, they learn more about Buddhism. In California, I have not heard yet. But in personal level, individual level, I know, I recognize, but not in the whole groups. So you say about 200 people, 300 people come to the center every Monday?
Yes.
Yeah, last time I told her, I went to, Harbor Freight, Harbor Freight store to buy some tools. I met the whole families, and they asked me because I could wear Express. Anyways, that's good. All right, so Evan, you want to say more about who is Henry Clark Warren?
I couldn't find much about him or Charles other than that they both created like a Asian Oriental group, and they helped create like a library in America of like over 5,000 Sanskrit manuscripts and books.
Okay. Yeah. You want to say some more?
I couldn't find anything or as much.
You cannot find Charles Rockwell Lemon. You can find. And naturally, of course, I told you that you cannot quote from Wikipedia, but it's for general information. For writing, yeah, you need to use a academic source, but for general information, you can use that. So they are the pioneers in the Buddhist study. For him, they are so important figures because they are the ones who initiate the tradition of Buddhist study in the West. Like for him, he supports some Buddhist monks in the late 19th century and early 20th century, and he published some of the books related to Buddhism, like this Suzuki, which is one of the famous Zen writers in the early 20th century, and Buddhist master, they show in Saku. This is the Japanese Zen master who came to the state and taught meditation, Zen traditions. So Paul Carus is one of the first people that support the spread of Buddhism in the early 20th century. And another one is Henry Warren. He is a scholar too. He's scholar in Sanskrit Pali, and as some of his students become great Sanskrit Pali scholar, especially T. Davis. He went. Remember, I told you the scholar who went to Sri Lanka and looked for the Pali scripts that's inscribed on the leaf, and he brought back to England to translate. And that's what he what they call the Pali Text Society. That's one of his students. So that's why he's so important in this study. And in early times, and this one too, Charles Rockwell Layman, and he is a Sanskrit, one of the early Sanskrit scholar in the West that trained so many Sanskrit and Pali languages for the next scholar generation. That's why this is going to be. Okay, just get some idea about them. All right, Tiffany, you want to talk about Buddhist university and this around the world?
I talked about the Dharma around Buddhist University. It's located in Berkeley, California.
That's my master temple.
What?
That's my master monastery. You don't know that?
I do now.
Oh, really? Okay.
I like how it's located in like the mountains.
You been there?
No.
No. It's really beautiful. It's about almost 500 acres.
It looks very
big.
peaceful.
Big and peaceful. Yeah. I've been
5
there.
acres?
Almost 500 acres.
500.
Yeah, it's big land. And I've been there since 1991 to 1999, about 8 years or 9 years. Yeah, so it's, and go ahead, more about that.
I also researched it, more statistics. In 2016, there was only 11 students. And yes, one of the classes, 7 females and 4 males.
Because it's not accredited in school yet. Yeah. Okay. Francis, you want to say something? She's here. She did that. This is not a spoon too. Let's see. This is spoon. This is spoon that I got my PhD degree in order to teach. Actually, like I told you, here, University of Chicago. Actually, nowadays many elite university have Buddhist classes now. Some short Buddhist study there, at UCLA and so forth. And this is school, University of the West. Actually, I told you, when I decided to become a monk in 1991, and at that time I thought that I would never come back to school anymore. Yeah, but because when I went to my master temple and have to teach the younger student, because in our monastery we have girls' school and boys' school. The highest from elementary level up, I mean that is K-12, from elementary level up to high school. So I was the one that taught them meditation and even some math too, because I'm good in math. Yeah. So somehow when I left my temple and went to Indiana, so somehow it's just like not constant, but somehow this is the written condition that I could teach non-credit class. I could teach Buddhism and meditation non-credit program. Each session lasts only 5 weeks or so. But later on I realized I need to get some degree, to teach officially. So that's why in 2009 I came back to become a student again. So that's this university. Now they have probably around 200 or 300 students. And many monks and nuns, Vietnamese, Chinese, Burmese, Sri Lanka, and so forth. They attend that university, and some of them went to be chaplains in the army, the navy, and so forth. After their graduation too, and they got, of course, they sign up for chaplaincy. They would get salary, and of course they have to go along with the Navy, the Army. And I asked my peers and even professors at that school, and they told me that probably I'm the only one who stepped out to teach at university level. So that's why I'm here with you, and hope in the future some of them will go out to teach. And the Europa University, it was established by a Tibetan Lama. He disrobed. He's famous. He's famous, but he disrobed and became a layman. But after he passed away, his student, for his first step to establish a Buddhist university. Actually, these two universities teach more in depth about Buddhist traditions. And I don't know about other in this field of Buddhist study in Berkeley, in California, is still integral study. I don't know much about that. So this is a school. I don't know whether if you want to become a Buddhist scholar, you better go to that two school. Naropa is both of them are private school, especially Naropa is special. And actually at University of the West, because I'm a monk, so they have some kind of scholarship for me. I just pay tuition for the first year. I've been there since 2009, and I got my PhD degree last year, 2016. So I only pay tuition for the first year, and the rest they get me scholarship. You have to maintain 3.5. In order to get full scholarship. But anyway, they have great support and all the university too. And before I came here, they had a class Introduction to Buddhism, but I asked around. It's not been taught for many years, even this on the syllabus. So somehow I got into this school and see you guys now. Okay, so let's move on then. It's not easy. It's not easy. Okay, let's move on. Now this one, did you like this? Pearl, it's not here. Syrup in here? No? Okay. 10, top 10 celebrity. Buddhist knowing comes. Probably you may not recognize them. Have you recognized any one of them before I show you? Have you recognized any one of them that follow Buddhism?
I know Richard Gere is.
Richard Gere, yeah.
Is a very.
Okay. Who else?
I don't know anyone else.
Okay. So here. You recognize him?
Oh, I didn't realize he was Buddhist.
You recognize him?
Of course. He should apply his Buddhism. Of course.
I thought he was like a Scientologist or something.
No, you're thinking of Tom.
He's thinking about
Oh.
Okay, so just
Okay. And you recognize her?
Everyone knows who she is.
Both of them, they divorced now, right?
Yeah.
But both of them,
Brangelina is no more.
yeah, both of them have adopted child.
I didn't even know they were married. I thought they were just living.
Here, you recognize? Okay, you recognize her?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
She's
she's
a
really
lawyer.
into yoga.
Really?
That makes
Sounds
sense,
like
yeah.
Yoga.
Pop singer or what?
No.
She's an actress.
She's a horrible actress.
She's a both.
Wow. She does the same turn.
Really?
It's that's Goldie
She's Goldie
Hawn's
Hawn's daughter. Yeah.
I don't watch the movie because I don't know.
Yeah, so
She looks just like her mom.
she does. Her mom was very famous in like the 80s. So yeah.
Okay, you recognize her?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
we
like
could.
this, that, I'm probably know them too.
Okay, so how about this lady?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they in the movie they famous.
She's a very famous actress.
Really?
For some
Okay,
of
that's
the
why I need to ask you guys. I don't watch movies, but I don't know. How about this? Oh, British, you know, right? How about this lady?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Okay.
So I wonder if,
You know him?
What? No. What?
Yes. Actually, he was recognized as a tuku. Remember we talked about tuku? The Indonesia about a past lama.
Please tell me Chuck Norris is also.
I was just fixing to say
Yeah.
that.
Please tell me Chuck Norris is also.
You recognize her?
That, yeah, I actually knew she was.
You know,
She was like,
she's
she
lady, she
I just forgot.
daughter of a famous Buddhist professor.
Keanu, of course.
Neo.
You guys recognize all of them, huh?
They're all famous actors.
Okay.
You know anyone?
So they are. They follow somehow. This is that they have so they follow somehow Buddhism. Probably the influence. Probably they got influence from Dalai Lama and so forth. That's why they follow these. Okay. So Jessica, you have. Oh really? What's easy?
It's the end of the semester and everybody is putting so much pressure on everyone to like get everything done.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, here.
I'll vouch for all of
I had 2 tests before.
All right, here. Yeah, you, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you know, right? The Buddha stepmother, right? Oh, where's the paper? What, you guys start for the paper yet? Can you answer? All right, so this one is the Buddha hand, right? She was the first. She was the first nun in the Sangha. You know her? Probably no. She's the in the early 19th century. It's early 20th century. She's the fourth. 2 ways of Asian. She supported for the early times of Buddhism in the West. Probably you may not recognize her too.
Oh wait, is that the one that was, I read about one lady that was, I think a Catholic nun or something, and she learned Pali or Sanskrit to try to debunk Buddhism, and then she became like one of the strongest.
Yeah, that's the wife of Rip David. Yeah, she become actually before she passed, she become a president of the Pali Test Society.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. She was trying to prove that it was false.
But later on, she
But
followed
she became
the scholar.
right. Okay.
And advocator as well Buddhism. Yeah. Probably you may not recognize this one, right? She's Zen master teachers. Yeah. And then remember, okay, yeah. Probably you may, yes, some is called Zen Center, the abbess.
Is it all like older Caucasian women?
You can say that. Yeah. Oh, here. This one is really famous one, and if you type on YouTube, she teaches a lot.
I think I have seen her.
Yeah, you see
I
her?
think that I've seen her speaking.
It's a famous American nuns that follow Tibetan traditions. You recognize her? Probably not. They more in depth in the Buddhist tradition than the
Jack
popular one.
Hornfield, I know.
Yeah, and Joseph Gold.
You may not recognize her.
When
Most
they have
scholars,
shaved heads, they all look the same. I can't
they
tell.
look the same.
I'm just like,
Anyway.
I said that's a racist. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Yeah. So unless you are in there, you learn and practice more in Buddhism, you will recognize them. Otherwise, you just recognize the celebrity only, right? All right. We pass to then. The last one is easy. Is that right? The last one. Okay. Thắng, you want to say something more? Oh really? That's, I think that's easy. That's only the information. That's easy. Oh, I will show you this short clip about, Tina?
Oh yeah, we all know the story of the movie.
I'll tell you something I learned.
Let's skip this one.
Tina Turner, after
Because
she got
everybody I know,
yeah,
wants to be.
You gotta recognize them?
No, I say that because
What's
it
love
isn't
got to do
just
with it?
your outer beauty, which is so obvious. I think they sense an inner beauty, and they want to know how you got there. Now, I know the story, but is there something that you
Most
can
of you guys
say
know them?
that isn't just like pop
It's the
psychology,
old fashioned, is that
something
right?
meaningful for you that helped you find out who you really are? Yeah, I want to try to simplify so I don't over talk, because I could start over there and end there. First, I have to say that I don't think a lot of people realize how important food for the mind is. They don't understand how important meditation or prayer is. You see, I never stopped. I went from my Baptist prayers to Buddhism. That's to say, maybe it was different words putting in at a time when I needed different words. The Lord's Prayer to Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and then the book was saying words. What does it do? You can have a house, beautiful, houses, beautiful cars, but there's still those moments when you don't feel good. Sometimes you're upset, you're just cranky, you're just unhappy. And you have no reason to be necessarily, or you are easily upset. Well, that's what the practice does for me. It helps me not to be upset easily. It helps me to deal with situations on a different level because I think differently about it. I don't get upset as easily. Yes, I still get upset because I'm only human. But the whole attitude towards someone getting upset because someone is blowing the horn, or look at that crazy person on his driving, I don't get upset about it. Things go wrong in the business. Before I become angry, I have to really dig into it to try to find what is going on before I get upset. Not upset first and then find out what's going on.
Anyway, so this is we can watch the Richard Bree and so forth, right? So again, so we have one more week to go. Okay, so for you up in Union, don't wait for the real good job. Okay, so try finish everything, the paper by May 1st, and for the final paper by May 2nd and May 4th. May 4th is the last one, okay? Alright, so see you then.